Have you ever stopped to wonder why some men rise to the top, while others, even with good intentions, sink to the bottom? I'll tell you why. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's not inheritance. It's because there are mistakes, silent, lethal, and almost invisible, that lead individuals straight into the abyss of poverty, and I, Andrew Carnegie, have spent my entire life avoiding them. Now, in this conversation, I'm going to give you the 10 mistakes that drag anyone into financial, emotional, and existential misery. If you understand and eliminate each one, you will open up the same path to success that I have traveled. But be warned, it will require discipline, courage, and an absolute commitment to your own greatness. Before we continue, if you really want to build your empire on solid ground with unshakable foundations, do the following. Subscribe to this channel now, because what we are going to discuss here is not entertainment. It is a practical code for ascension, and each video here will be another brick in the foundation of your empire. Now, come with me. The first mistake, the most treacherous of all. Lack of a defined purpose. I have seen brilliant men sink because they never decided what they really wanted. They staggered from idea to idea like leaves in the wind. There is no favorable wind for those who don't know where they are going. At the beginning of my journey, I made a decision. Steel would be my life. While others diversified their dreams, I focused them. While others wanted everything, I wanted one thing, and I wanted it with every fiber of my being. A defined purpose is the sharp sword that cuts through the tangle of distractions. Without it, you will be overwhelmed by the urgencies of others, the whims of the moment, the temptations of immediate comfort. Purpose is the rudder. Without a rudder, any storm will destroy you. The second mistake, no less devastating, lack of self-control. If you don't control your emotions, your habits, your impulses, you will never control businesses or people. I have watched leaders fall apart due to outbursts of anger, impulsive decisions, excessive greed, or paralyzing fear. The empire I built was born because I disciplined myself from an early age to control myself. Negotiations require a cool head. Expansion requires rational calculation. Losses require strategic coldness. Those who govern their own spirit govern the world. Those who do not govern themselves will soon be governed by misery. The third mistake, procrastination disguised as planning. Many spend years preparing, studying theories, drawing perfect maps, and never execute. While they were drawing, I was acting. I preferred an imperfect plan executed with energy to a brilliant plan never started. Wealth rewards movement. Money, allies, and opportunities gravitate toward those who are on the battlefield. Those who wait for the ideal moment will never see the sun rise over their empire. Perfection is the refuge of the insecure. The fourth mistake, which devastates legions, choosing your associates poorly. The men you ally yourself with will define the limits of your success. From the beginning, I followed one absolute principle. Surround myself with men smarter than me. I didn't seek emotional comfort. I sought superior competence. I promoted those who delivered results. I fired those who insisted on mediocrity. My empires grew because I never tolerated incompetence, laziness, or disloyalty at the base of my command. Choose your allies as if your life depended on it, because it does. The fifth mistake, ignoring the power of continuing education. A mind that does not grow rots. While many around me relaxed at the first sign of success, I read, studied, and debated with men of vision. Every morning, I woke up with the awareness that there was something I did not yet know, and that I needed to discover. Those who stop learning have already begun to die financially. The world rewards those who are up-to-date, adaptable, and intellectually restless. Those who despise study dig their own business grave. The sixth mistake is almost always the final blow: financial discontrol. Many dream of getting rich, but they don't even have control over their own personal finances. They spend what they don't have, buy what they don't need, and live for appearances to impress those who add nothing to their lives. I have seen empires collapse because of foolish vanity. Even at the height of my success, I watched every penny. Every investment was rigorously evaluated. Absolute cost control. That was one of the pillars of my fortune. A man who doesn't control his spending will never control a business. The seventh mistake, seeking quick and speculative gains. The illusion of easy profits is an ancient trap. Many believe they will get rich through risky bets, miracle investments, and get-rich-quick schemes. I despised these traps. My growth was solid, methodical, always grounded in operational fundamentals. I expanded only after completely mastering each new area. Haste is the sister of ruin. Prefer to build slowly, but on solid rock. As I once said, concentration is my motto, first, last, and always. The eighth mistake is poisonous and sneaky, ignoring the power of intelligent delegation. I have seen leaders fail because they wanted to control everything personally. The fear of delegating kills growth. My greatest strength was creating teams of excellence, delegating wisely, demanding rigor, and following up with strategic vision. Alone, a man builds a tent. With allies, he builds a city. It is not your duty to do everything. It is your duty to ensure that everything is done perfectly. The ninth mistake, rejecting strategic philanthropy. Yes, it is a mistake. Many accumulate wealth, but do not understand its higher purpose, to multiply. Good. Wealth only has meaning when it transforms society. That is why I have dedicated my fortunes to libraries, universities, and projects that empower the masses. A man who dies rich, dies miserable. Your fortune should be a fruitful tree for generations. Selfish wealth is a monument to vanity. Shared wealth is a legacy of greatness. And finally, the 10th mistake, disregarding time. Time is the greatest asset. Many waste it on useless distractions, fleeting pleasures, empty conversations. I treated each day as a brick in the construction of my empire. I organized my schedule, eliminated waste, prioritized what mattered. Life is short, and fortune requires daily discipline. Those who waste time have already mortgaged their future. Now that I have revealed these 10 mistakes to you, I say this with conviction. Your poverty or your wealth will not be decided by others, but by your relentless vigilance against these pitfalls. Now that you know the 10 fatal mistakes, I need to help you see something even deeper. What sustains the minds of the poor is an invisible but devastating belief system. I want you to tear down, crush, and destroy that system. Because until you do, even if you avoid the mistakes, the poison will remain in your soul, slowly eroding your ability to grow. You see, the poor, and here I'm not talking about bank accounts, but about mentality, live under the yoke of excuses. There is always someone else to blame for their condition. They blame the government, their boss, the market, their family, fate. I'll tell you the plain truth. As long as you point the finger at someone else, you won't be able to build anything. When I was young, I understood that my success depended solely on me. An immigrant, penniless, working for pennies, but I never allowed myself to be a victim. I was solely responsible for my destiny, and so are you. No one owes you anything. As long as you believe that someone owes you something, you will be a slave to poverty. Another terrible poison, the fear of judgment by others. How many men fail to undertake, to dare, to invest, simply because they are afraid of being ridiculed, criticized, or misunderstood? Let me tell you, throughout my career I have been called reckless, greedy, overly ambitious. Small men cannot stand the sight of great men. If you want to build your empire, get used to being criticized. It's the price of greatness. Those who fear criticism negotiate their future for crumbs of approval. But perhaps the most insidious of mental errors is the love of comfort. Poverty loves the couch. It feeds on immediate pleasure. The poor mind seeks distraction, rest, entertainment. The rich mind seeks progress, reading, projects, expansion. While some waste hours on empty pleasures, I spent hours with my books, my projects, my trusted men, planning the next step. Wealth is not a stroke of luck. It is the accumulated result of thousands of hours well spent. You need to understand. What separates the rich from the poor is not money, it is vision. The poor see the now. The rich see the future. The poor think about their monthly salary. The rich think about building wealth. The poor despair over the price of a book. The rich buy it because they know that the knowledge they gain will pay. Thousands of times more in the future. I invested every penny in my own intellectual and business growth. While others accumulated possessions to impress, I accumulated wisdom to expand. Now, take a good look inside yourself and answer, are you living with the vision of an heir to an empire or with the mind of a survivor? Because the difference starts with the way you wake up every day. When I wake up, I don't ask myself what the day will bring me. I decide what I will bring to the day. The rich create their own climate. The poor adapt to the climate of others. Another poisonous trap, constant comparison. Poor men waste time measuring themselves against each other. Who has the best car, the biggest house, the most expensive watch? I despised these games of vanity. While they compared symbols, I compared results. I asked myself, has my business grown? Are my men better prepared? Has my efficiency increased? Have my costs decreased? Have my opportunities expanded? Focus on the numbers that matter, and all the external symbols will come as an inevitable consequence. Now, pay attention. There is a point where many stumble, even though they are already rich. It is the mistake of believing that they have reached the top. This is the subtle invitation to stagnation, and stagnation is the first step toward decline. Never, never in my life have I believed that I have arrived. Each achievement was just a new foundation for the next building. That is why I have remained at the forefront of technology, efficiency, and innovation. When I stopped being the largest steel producer, I was already giving away my fortune. Not because I had stopped, but because I had understood the higher purpose of wealth. Do not confuse comfort with security. The only security is in constant movement. And there is another truth that few have the courage to hear. Poverty is a choice of values. Many say they want wealth, but when it comes time to sacrifice immediate pleasure, to wake up early, to study while others sleep, to invest instead of consume, they back down. Wealth demands the price of daily discipline. Every small decision is an invisible brick. Every sacrifice today builds your freedom tomorrow. Remember, poverty is not an accident. It is the sum of small, bad decisions repeated daily. Wealth is not a miracle either. It is the sum of correct decisions practiced with persistence. Now, if you followed me this far, you're already ahead of 95% of men. Because few can bear to hear the truth. Most prefer sweet, unrealistic advice. I didn't come here to offer you sweetness. I came to offer you the real map to power. And if you want to join me in this endeavor, write in the comments, I am ready to build my empire. This is your first public commitment to your rise. Now that we've broken down the beliefs that keep men in poverty, I need you to understand the next level, the practical science of wealth building. Because wealth is not simply the accumulation of money, it is the building of a productive machine that works even while you rest. When I started my journey as a teenager carrying spools of wire on the floor of a factory, I already saw something that most people couldn't see. The money you earn with your sweat is just the seed. The money that works for you is the tree. And most people fail because they never get past the seed stage. They live off direct effort, never creating the system that multiplies. I soon realized that I needed to build what I called income machines. Not just metal machines, but organizations, processes, people, alliances, and systems that worked with absolute efficiency. Every person in the right place, every process refined and optimized, every waste eliminated. Fortune does not come from brute effort, but from intelligence applied to the workflow. You see, the fatal mistake of the poor is to think in terms of linear income. The more I work, the more I earn. That is a prison. I never accepted that logic. From an early age, I sought to create levers, assets that would continue to produce while I invested my time in strategic decisions. While a worker produces with his own hands, the wise industrialist multiplies his strength through hundreds, thousands of arms. While the poor think about their next paycheck, empire builders think about the next level of scale. But be careful. Don't confuse leverage with irresponsibility. I never sought risky shortcuts. While many ventured into risky speculation, I expanded on a solid foundation, absolute control of every link in the production chain, vertical control. From raw materials to the final product. That's how my steel empire became unshakable. I didn't depend on third parties for my inputs. Every step was under my supervision. This is another secret that small-minded men do not understand. Control. Wealth is a science of control. Control of costs, production, quality, delivery, staff, and above all, yourself. The undisciplined man will never keep the wealth he may acquire, but there is an even higher factor, the right people. An empire is not built alone, and here most people fail miserably. They choose friends instead of talent. They promote incompetent family members instead of competent leaders. They trust sycophants and traitors instead of men of proven integrity. I have never made concessions in this regard. I surrounded myself with smarter men, experts, brilliant technicians. I sought out those who challenged me intellectually, who saw beyond me in their fields. My direct advice to you, create a circle of excellence. Do not tolerate mediocrity. Do not protect incompetent people. Do not hesitate to replace those who do not deliver. Remember, empires are not built on emotional ties, but on strategic alliances. Now, pay close attention. There is a moment in the journey when money begins to flow in abundance, and at that point, many fall into the final mistake, the most dangerous of all: dazzlement. The ego inflates, vanity takes over, unnecessary consumption sets in, expenses grow in proportion to income, and so, even though they are rich, they are bankrupt inside. I never succumbed to this. Even as one of the richest men on the planet, I have maintained a simple, modest life, because I understood something that few understand. True wealth is not in ostentation, but in freedom. Freedom to think, to act, to decide without financial pressure. Freedom to use capital not to feed the ego, but to amplify impact. That was the reason for my philanthropy, not to appear generous, but because I understood the higher cycle of wealth. It must return to elevate mankind. I built libraries, universities, institutions, because I knew that every educated mind would generate new wealth builders, new visionaries, new leaders. Now look deep into my eyes, because here is the lesson that definitively separates the builder from the destroyed. True wealth belongs only to those who completely master it, and in the service of a greater purpose. It is not luxury. It is not fame. It is not applause. It is mastery. It is mission. It is construction. So if you've made it this far and feel the call of this mission in your soul, write it down in the comments with conviction. I am the master of my construction. This is your second pact, and with every word we declare together, your invisible empire begins to raise its first pillars. Now that you understand the mastery of construction, we must face an even more treacherous battlefield, the invisible resistance of mediocrity that dwells within every man. Don't be fooled. Even after understanding the principles, even after avoiding fatal mistakes, there will be a sneaky enemy that will settle inside you. It will invite you daily to your comfort zone. It will whisper, "You've done enough. Rest, relax, enjoy yourself." And if you give in little by little, your empire will begin to crumble at the edges silently. Mediocrity does not strike with one blow. It corrodes through infiltration. That is why my greatest battle every day of my life has been against myself, waking up early while others slept, reading while others were distracted, investing while others spent, building while others only dreamed. This discipline was not a burden. It was my liberation, because I understood early on that freedom does not come from immediate pleasure, but from absolute control over one's own schedule and character. I have seen hundreds of brilliant men succumb because they could not stand the simple, disciplined routine. They sought the ecstasy of great achievements, but despised the invisible power of repetition. Now I reveal to you, empires are not built with great events. They are born from the sum of small daily repetitions, executed with excellence and brutal consistency. Do you want an empire? Then defeat yourself every day. The greatest battlefield is not in the market, but in your mind at dawn. And when you master this consistency, another test will arise. External crises, because the world does not respect your discipline. It will test your conviction with wars, financial crises, political collapses, pandemics, disasters. I have lived through multiple crises during my career, and it was during these crises that my empires grew, while desperate crowds sold assets. In panic, I bought. While others contracted their businesses out of fear, I expanded with surgical precision, because I knew the greatest fortunes are transferred during crises. Mediocrity panics. The builder sees opportunity. But be careful. Don't confuse courage with recklessness. My expansion during crises was based on study, capital preparation, and absolute mastery of my numbers and my risks. Ignorance is the greatest risk. Knowledge is the greatest shield. Therefore, I command you, study obsessively. Never stop. Immerse yourself in every detail of your business. Understand every line of your balance sheet. Know every variable in your industry. The ignorant depend on luck. The wise provoke their own destiny. Now, when you go through crises and continue to grow, another even more dangerous enemy will emerge, the loneliness of power. Few talk about it, but I will. The man who builds an empire must endure the emotional distance that greatness imposes. You will be misunderstood by many. You will be envied by many. You will be accused by others. The higher you climb, the smaller the circle of trusted voices around you will become. Therefore, develop now the ability to decide for yourself, supported only by your principles and your vision. I walked many years with this disciplined loneliness. Don't seek approval, seek righteousness. Don't seek popularity, seek consistency. Don't seek to be loved, seek to be a builder. If you can endure this, then you will have a rare power, supreme clarity. This clarity will allow you to see the game of life as few others do. You will no longer be moved by momentary gains. You will no longer be shaken by momentary losses. You will begin to see your empire as a long-term living organism. I assure you, true wealth is the tranquility of clear vision. Now I challenge you. If you are committed to maintaining this daily discipline, despite the loneliness, criticism, and difficulty, declare in the comments, "My vision is non-negotiable." This is your third builder's pact. Now that you have mastered yourself, your business, crises, and discipline, the final question arises, what for? What is the true purpose of your construction? Because, my friend, an empire that does not serve a higher purpose is doomed to dissolution. I have seen many men accumulate colossal fortunes, only to watch their children squander it all in 2 or 3 generations. Why? Because they did not understand the complete cycle of true wealth: accumulate, master, and finally, elevate. When I realized that my mission went beyond myself, I began my true construction: strategic philanthropy. Don't confuse this with blind charity. Don't confuse it with handouts. I didn't give to feed the laziness of others. I built educational institutions, libraries, universities, research centers. Why? Because the greatest wealth a man can leave behind is the empowerment of minds. An educated mind will never return to poverty. An educated man multiplies wealth, transforms generations, and elevates entire societies. That is why I made education the greatest destination for my capital, because I understood the supreme principle: he who dies rich dies miserable. My fortune was never meant to be locked away in safes, but to circulate eternally through the minds of new builders. If you want an empire that will survive the test of time, think about it now. How will what you are building today benefit people who are not even born yet? How can your company, your assets, your influence be transformed into platforms of knowledge and progress for future generations? This is the true code of eternal empires. The rest are sandcastles. But there is another pillar you need to erect now, before it's too late: conscious succession. Men fail to build heirs. They raise weak children, spoiled heirs, incompetent managers, because they confuse love with permissiveness. I have always instructed my men and my family with rigor. Money inherited without preparation is a curse. Wealth handed over to those who lack vision and discipline is poison. Therefore, Your mission is not just to accumulate wealth, it is to train successors who share the same mindset of building, responsibility, and purpose. Teach them to work. Teach them to respect capital. Teach them to study incessantly. Teach them to lead men, not to control them with fear, but to guide them with vision. If you don't do this, your empire will die with you. If you do, your name will echo in every future generation as the pillar of a constructive dynasty. Now, there is something even greater that I must reveal to you, the inner peace of the builder. It does not come from a bank account. It does not come from public recognition. It comes from the full awareness that you have used your maximum capacity, your time, your talents, and your resources in the highest possible way. This peace has accompanied me in the last years of my life. I knew that what was within my control, I built with excellence. What was beyond my reach, I surrendered to the wisdom of life. If you seek this peace, then understand, the true empire begins within you, then it manifests itself in business, and finally, it flourishes in your legacy. Now I want you to declare in the comments, my empire will be eternal because it is anchored in purpose. This is your fourth covenant. And now, my friend, we are nearing the end of this mentoring. But there is still one final block to deliver, the one that will seal your journey once and for all. Now you know. Now you see. Now you are ready. At this very moment, my friend, you have ceased to be a dreamer and become an architect. Because what you have received here is not generic advice. These are not sweet words to massage your ego. What I have given you is the true foundation of empires that span centuries. You see, few have understood the essence of the journey I have taken. Many only saw the external result, the billions accumulated, the industries built, the libraries constructed. But most never understood the real secret, the absolute mindset of construction. From a poor boy in Scotland to an industrialist in the United States, I have always been guided by non-negotiable principles. And now, those principles are before you. You know what they are. Unshakable purpose, iron self-control, disciplined execution, surgical choice of allies, constant pursuit of knowledge, absolute control of finances, long-term vision. Intelligent delegation, strategic philanthropy, complete mastery of time. But I want you to go beyond simply memorizing these pillars. I want you to embody them. Let them become part of your character, your blood, your breath. Because the world out there will try every day to tear these principles from within you. It will try to seduce you with shortcuts. It will try to distract you with noise. It will try to weaken you with easy solutions. But I warn you with the certainty of someone who has already crossed this battlefield, do not give in. Do not waver. Do not negotiate, because if you remain steadfast, what will appear before your eyes will be something that few men in the history of humanity have experienced. The tranquility of a solid empire that grows even in your absence. The satisfaction of seeing men and women prosper because of the institutions you have built. The honor of being remembered not only as someone who became rich, but as someone who built greatness for many. And then, one day, when your journey in this world comes to an end, you will depart with the certainty that I departed with. The work is done. The name is preserved. The legacy lives on. Now, my friend, I make my final call to you. If you understand the weight and honor of everything we have discussed here, declare it loudly in the comments. Now it is my turn to build my empire with wisdom. This is your fifth and final pact. With it, you have sealed your entry into the order of true builders, of the few who not only dream, but achieve. Now it's your turn, it's your responsibility, it's your empire. Sign up now. Share this video with those who also want to build something great, and let's spread this flame of conscious building throughout the world together.